I can't imagine that.
We got a shit Prime Minister too. We got our Prime Minister's a member of the Hillsong Church. Like, they're all singing and all. Yeah, Prime Minister of Australia's a member of fucking Hillsong.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Either. We've got a fucked up Prime Minister, and we're able to look and go, well, we ain't as bad as that.
Yeah.
So, but no, lockdowns, it's not going too bad. I've got fucking 4 kids, so I'm ready to get the fuck out of this house, is pretty much it. It's like, if anything's going to cause a relapse, it's fucking being locked inside with 4 children. It's like, my wife's having a gin and tonic last night, and I'm just looking going, fucking hell, that bottle would be done. But if you look at the cases, we've had 99 deaths. We've had like 100 deaths. You've had you've had like 60,000.
Yeah. So you've had 100 deaths in all of Australia?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Well,
that's dope.
So we did all right.
Great. That's good to hear. That's heartening news. At least I'm glad that you guys are faring well. I didn't know that.
Well, one thing we can do, we're a fucking island. So
right.
Once we shut down, the fucking government let a cruise ship dock without being checked and everything like that, and that spread. That was actually, accounted for 1/3 of the cases we got.
Sure.
Yeah, one cruise ship was just fucking infected, and like Border Patrol and everything like that weren't there to test anyone, so they just let everyone off, and it just spread like fucking wildfire. So if it wasn't for that one cruise ship, we wouldn't have worried. Now, you want to hear a conspiracy theory about that too? Yeah. One of the people on the cruise ship was a politician's wife. No, a politician's wife's parents were on the cruise ship, and this politician also happens to be a member of the Hillsong Church. And with the lowering of restrictions, it just so coincidentally, once we get to stage 3 restrictions, it's just in time for a Hillsong convention.
No way.
No fucking no shit, man. All you got to do is look at the dates. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but fucking hell, like, suspect is suspect, dodgy's dodgy.
Right, I'm with you.
But no, the lockdown's all right. I was back working in a hotel, so we're getting to fucking my career choices over the years. But I'd gone back working in a hotel, so that got shut down real fast. So, yeah, but it's been all right. So I haven't been doing fuck all, because the stuff I do in like addiction sort of stuff, units are going on lockdown and everything like that. So yeah, because you can lock down a rehab pretty quickly, if you have to.
Oh yeah, Danny works in a rehab.
Yeah, I work in one at the moment. I used to work in 2.
Oh,
so,
okay.
We'll get into that, I guess.
You guys got a lot of methamphetamine there, huh?
At the moment, yeah. So when we get into my stuff, so I actually got out as meth was really jumping in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and look, I consider myself lucky in that aspect. Because if I was fucking using now, hell yeah, I'd have no teeth. But yeah, so right now we don't call it. And I was talking to Charlie about this. Can we just give props to how much work Charlie does leading up to the show?
Yeah.
Can we just give it up for a little bit?
Oh no.
Yeah. Don't go crazy though. I don't want it to go. You know what I mean?
No, we go. But
he'll walk away. He's going to walk away at some point, and I'm not going to know how to do anything for myself. In my life.
But it's just like, he does all the work, and then the addicts just show up and go, yep, we're here. We're here for the party. Yep. Has everyone bought the shit? Yep, sweet. We're here. Here we go. Let's do this.
You should see Charlie when we're in person. He's yelling at us. He's throwing shit at Mike. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it's the abuse. I don't know if you can see this. That's a permanent injury right there in the bottom. That's never going to heal. No, just kidding.
Threw a fucking mic at the head.
Danny, are you recording and clapped?
I am. I'm recording. I've clapped.
All right.
Dude, I just got to tell you guys. Okay, let's go.
I have my Cafe de Leche fucking coffee. This shit is fire.
Yeah. Shout
I
out
have
to Cafe
whatever I could make in 5 fucking seconds.
What time is it over there, Nathan?
It's fucking 9:15 in the morning. That's only my second coffee. I've only had 2 cigarettes and 2 coffees. And you fucking sitting there smoking, Danny, so annoying. I'm just watching it. Like, 'cause I don't smoke inside. And like, fucking really? Like, I thought about
this is the most I've craved cigarettes since I quit cigarettes. Like, since I just stopped. Like this.
Oh, they're time fillers. It's a time filler. It fills in 4 minutes.
I see them. I'm in like watching stuff where people are smoking, movies and things. I'm watching The Sopranos, all the fucking cigars. I'm like, oh.
You could just start smoking again. You could just start smoking.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I got so many, you got a couple of columns and there's the good and the bad. There's too many on the bad. I can't add that one.
Yeah, but the good is you get to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, the good is you get to smoke cigarettes.
Fuck.
No, you're right. Well, that's why I smoke the weed, and for me, but it's not the same. It's cigarettes. It's not the same. It's a fucking totally different thing. Yeah. I might have to. They sell them at Yummy. You can buy them, and I like to keep them, in the house for guests.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I always do because I got a lot of windows here.
And there's the addict coming out going, I know he's got smokes when I go around there.
Yeah. No, I always try to because I keep them on the bar. I'm like, why not? Like, people want to have a drink and a smoke, or just a smoke, or whatever the fuck. Yeah. But yeah, I can open these windows up and it clears right out. Like it's not. This is an area apartment anyway.
I mean, it's pretty safe to say Mike don't have COVID. You know what I mean? He hasn't. He's been the strictest of all of us.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah,
Keith, you were right. I didn't. Keith, I was negative for the antibodies too.
So was I.
I was negative for both, for everything.
Yeah, me too. All right, Mike, you want to bring us in?
All right, let's actually do a show.
Yeah, right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of It's All Bad. This is Mike. We've got...
I'm Keith.
I'm Russian Danny.
I'm Charlie.
Nathan.
And our guest, Nathan.
Yeah.
Nathan.
From calling in from the future. Fuck, it's a different day from, it's the 20... What is it? I don't even know what today's date is. It's the 20th where you're at. We're still in the fucking 19th. Man, that is cool.
Wow. So then you don't even... Wow. Do you? Wow. Okay. I'm gonna go right now.
Did you just learn?
Mike's mind is blown.
Did you just learn this, Mike? That we're different.
No, I know.
It's still shit.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Look, at some point we've all been fucked up enough to see into the future. So now we're literally seeing into the future.
And I was fascinated when I read your bio about.
Worst fucking CV ever.
I'd love to hear something about that criminology stuff because that's pretty fucking rad. I'm a little obsessed. He's a criminologist and studies. Yeah, and you study both like Australian crime and United States crime, right? And the differences and all that shit.
Yes, I started. If you see all the bookshelves behind me, and there's some above me too. They're all crime books. Every single one of them is a crime book. Yeah, I got around about 1900 crime books, about 200-300 law books, numerous other fucking bits and pieces. I've worked as a researcher before a couple of times for people who write them. So all the shit kicking work, because I'm not a writer. I've tried. I'm not very good at it. So they just send me, we need this information on this person or this era and all that sort of shit, and then I jump on and use either my library, internet. I'm fucking just really good at Google as far as researching goes. I can just find out. That's essentially it. I've got a Google degree. But yeah, I remember I took a challenge. One writer asked me about something to do with now I've gone blank. John Dillinger, and he asked, can you tell me what this era? And I said, mate, you give me enough time, I'll tell you where he took a piss in 1920. And he goes, go on. And I was able to find out where he took a piss in March of 1920. I'm just pretty good at it. But yeah, as far as the criminology, the other aspect of criminology, apart from the research, that's just sort of something I enjoy doing. So it's the study of of criminals. So if you've seen Silence of the Lambs, obviously, Clarice Starling is a criminologist and a psychologist. So she specialises in forensic psychology. So mine is just a criminology focus, so why people commit crime and everything like that. So, as far as nature-nurture debate, all that sort of stuff, social learning theory, subculture theory, strain theory. I'm being really fucking boring here. But yeah.
No, I mean, I find this shit fascinating. Like, I've had to wean myself off of it because I thought it was getting me a little bit morbid, and I started.
The true crime shows.
Someone got it in my head that it's like, oh, you're watching tragedy porn. You're being entertained by someone else's misfortune. And when I thought about it like that, that really started to bum me out. And I'm like, no, that's not what it's about. Like, I want to see these motherfuckers get caught. Like, that's the fun thing. It's like how it works.
I don't really watch true crime stuff the same way other people do. So people watch it for entertainment and suspense and all that sort of shit. I actually hate when it's fucking suspenseful and shit like that, like with the shitty music. I kind of watch it like I'm literally watching a documentary and gathering information and everything like that. I have trouble watching fucking based on true story movies and shows.
Okay.
And my wife can't watch them with me because I just sit there and have to pause it 7 times going, that didn't fucking happen, or it did happen, but it didn't fucking happen that way. That person was not there. He was not there. He was over the other side of the fucking state. That person was in jail at that time. That doesn't fucking count.
What's an example of a spot on? In your opinion, what's an example of a spot on crime picture where you feel like people got it right?
A spot on crime picture? Oh, fuck. That's a good question. Oh, fuck no. Fuck no.
Shit.
Fuck no. No. So, and I'll do this for listeners. Anyone who doesn't know what Snowtown was, Snowtown was a group of serial killers who eventually dumped a whole heap of bodies in barrels and then hid them in a disused bank vault once the police were coming on in Snowtown. No. Snowtown's fucking one of my hated crime movies.
Really?
It could have been so much better.
What about?
I feel sorry for the town of Snowtown because it's now a tourist place.
Oh man.
Yeah, Snowtown is like a fucking pub, a corner shop, and a couple of houses. Like the only thing Snowtown offered was cheap real estate, and that's why they rented out. They rented out Dishy's Bank. So the killings for that murder actually happened in a place called Sainsbury North, which is just outside of Adelaide. And then once it was getting a bit, the police were starting to become a bit suspicious when 10 people had died. You reckon we're in front in time? Adelaide's like 30 years behind. South Australia's like 30 years behind. So then they just moved the bodies they rented this place in Snowtown, but only one murder actually happened in Snowtown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just where they stored the bodies, where they were found.
That's the only story I ever know of, like somebody else, one dude luring other people to help him do murder.
Oh, yeah, there ended up being 3 to 4 people directly involved and like another.
Yeah.
Look, Snowtown started out with good intentions as far as the criminals were concerned, and I don't agree. They were killing sex offenders. They were killing rock stars. Right. But then once they killed a couple, they found out they could access their welfare payments without ID and everything like that. They just get them to give their bank card and their PIN numbers. So then they just started killing anyone who was on welfare.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, so the last 4 victims weren't offenders or anything like that.
Right.
They were just people who were and they were on disability pensions. They weren't, they weren't standard unemployed. They were all because with a disability pension, you don't have to, go into the office and everything. You're kind of on it, and then you're just on it. So there's no meetings you got to have. You don't have to attend, are you fit for work meetings and stuff like that. So they just ripped off everyone and just killed people. One guy.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. One guy, I think he's getting out soon, or got out. One of the he did get out. The young guy who ended up turning Crown's witness, so ended up turning on them all.
The one who killed his stepbrother.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's out and about. John Bunting, who was the leader of the whole thing. Yeah, he ain't getting out.
No,
he's in jail. No. In jail, he carries around a pencil with shit on it. So if he stabs you with it, you get infected.
Oh, because people want to kill him.
And everything. Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's not a gangster. He's not a crim. And here's something with criminology wise. Most serial killers aren't criminals. I know I don't see them as criminals, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So like you guys were, I wouldn't, not career criminals, but that was your job at some point in life and everything like that.
Yeah.
You drug deal, you rob and everything like that. Where serial killers and a lot of mass murderers, they got no fucking criminal record. They just lose their shit, or so. Yeah, John Bunting, and who's the other fucker? I've forgotten the other. Robert Wagner. Yeah, they're not well liked in jail.
Right. The organized criminals are something else in Australia too. I've watched some things about them. They're wild.
Well, I'll get into a little bit of that at some point. You're gonna see some fucking tiptoeing like a ballerina during this fucking interview, man.
Well, let's kick that off. Like, what's the most fucked up story situation you found? What's the most fucked up situation you found yourself in?
See, I was trying to come up with. So I started writing I was trying to get down my drug history, and it ended up fucking looking like this. It was a good bit of therapy, but fuck, it ended up just depressing. So I wrote down a couple of stories. Most fucked up situations. I found myself in a lot of fucked up situations. Like I woke up in a safe house with an empty shotgun next to me once, with no idea how I got there and why there's a shotgun next to me. Now, the other thing you got to realise with Australia and guns, we have some of the strictest gun laws in the world. Like, you can't, with the States, from what I can tell, it's not hard to get a gun.
No. Anybody, no. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I could literally walk to the corner store, and, fucking have, find somebody that could be like, oh, hey, it's not hard.
Yeah, so with Australia...
Let's talk about that after the show, Danny, actually. I got a question about that. No, just kidding.
Yeah, don't get yourself that down, Mike. It will finish. Let's all just keep an eye on Mike for a while.
No.
Just check in, see how he's going. So yeah, guns are pretty hard to come by. So if you're able to access guns as far as in Australia goes, you're in an echelon, not up here where, as you said with Keith, our underworld, which is very heavily connected and stuff like that. But you've got to be a certain caliber of person for someone to sell you a gun. The odd tweaker on the street hasn't got access to a gun. They might. It's just going to take them about a month to get hold of. And because they're so rare, no one's giving them away. No one's selling them cheap. So and my friend, and I'll discuss him later because he comes into a lot of my stories. He's dead now, so it's all right. Well, it's not all right. He's dead. So he had a safe house. He just rented this place. I think he rented it through his grandma's name or something like that. And it was your classic, one couch, shitty TV, a bed, no sheets, no blanket, no pillow, just a bed and a fridge. And he'd have the cutting ingredients just sitting on his sink and everything like that. So that's kind of where he went if he had to cut up or if I had to cut up and stuff like that. But you only went there if you were either running red hot or you just didn't want to be found for a couple of days or a couple of hours and things like that. So I was a blackout drunk, I tried to ask my wife if she's got any stories because it's like, well, fuck, after shit I don't remember. I get told about it a lot, and that's rather humiliating. Or sometimes like, yeah, that sounds like something I'd do. But yeah, so I woke up in his house with a fucking shotgun next to me on a bed with no sheets, and seeing it was unloaded made me panic more than if it was loaded. Because if it's loaded, it's like, okay, it's only a single barrel shotgun. So if it's loaded, it's like, well, I haven't shot anything, because there's one in the chamber. But the unloaded part made me panic even more. So I was like, why am I in a safe house? Why have I got a shotgun? And why isn't there a bullet in it? All right. So I come down the stairs, shotgun on the shoulder, we sort of very suspiciously, like, who's in the house and why am I here? And me mate and another mate just, sitting there, smoking cones. And I'm going, what's this? And my mate Stone says, it's a shotgun. Like, he has to explain, what I'm holding. He's giving me a look of, how fucked up are you? And I said, I figured that, dickhead. But whose is it? He goes, it's yours. And that's not fucking mine. Like, I think I'd know if I, and I'm more saying this in my head, I think I'd know if I owned a shotgun. And I said, okay, where'd I get it? And he goes, you bought it last night. I said, what the fuck did I buy a shotgun for? And he goes, because you said it was a good price. And so it turns out I'd been in a nightclub and chatting to people, and someone said they had a shotgun for sale, so I bought a shotgun. Like, in a nightclub at 4 o'clock in the morning. Just no reason. Just like, okay, that sounds like something I'd like to have. I'm a bit like Keith in that way. If something has value and I can get it at a good price, I'm going to buy the fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to say,
value-minded man. What was your drink? What usually blacked you out?
Oh no, I drank everything. Vodka was my friend. Well, it was my friend, but it wasn't very friendly to anyone else around me. Was my problem with vodka. So I loved it.
Vodka's the demon. I've talked about it with friends. It's like gin's nothing to be fucked with.
Oh, I loved gin.
But the thing about at least gin, scotch, bourbons, there is a flavor governor. There's a point where you just can't taste another taste of juniper and herbs, and it's just like you're like, there's a point at night, like I don't care how much of a fucking boozer you are, you take a sip of a gin and tonic and you're like, Jesus Christ, that tastes disgusting. And with vodka, it's
vodka.
That fucking never happens.
The one I always laughed is people that ask, what do you like with your vodka? Like, what do you like to put with your vodka? It's like, I don't know, maybe a glass if you fucking want. Like, if you want me to look half decent at this thing, I guess you can put it in a glass.
No,
but
I know.
I had
it's dangerous.
So I used to keep it in the freezer, and you call them beer cozies or whatever, beer cozies. We call them stubby holders because we call a little beer a stubby.
Stubby holders, I like that.
Yeah. So I had a stubby holder that used to fit a bottle of Smirnoff. So
that's what I call my ex-girlfriends. Hey, no, I'm kidding. Please forgive me.
There's going to be there is going to be some language I'm going to have to explain a little bit, but the one I want to get out of the way first is, the word cunt. Okay.
Yeah.
So we say it a lot differently than you guys. We're a lot more than British. So I'll try and explain the language. So if I call someone a cunt, if I say someone is a cunt, then they're a cunt, right? In the same way you'd say someone is a cunt. If I put any word at the start of that, it usually means they're good. So, like, Danny in your using, I'd say, oh, fuck it, Danny's a mad cunt, right? That's a compliment. That's he's wild, he's soft, we'll greet our friends as they come into our house. Like, the running joke in Australia is, we call cunts mate and mates cunt. So, like, if I haven't seen Danny in a while, Danny comes in, he's like, oh, this cunt. All right, so it's like, haven't seen him in a while. So,
it sounds almost like the sort of Mexican use for fool.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, much
like
the same.
You can almost just like this fool,
But the fact is, fool isn't universally seen as the worst language in the English dictionary.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. You can say fool, but
I can call my kid.
That's true.
I can call my kid a fool. I can call one of my kids a fool. Are you being a fool? I can't say, well, not to their face anyway. You're being a cunt.
Yeah. No, you can't. No, not even if it's in the nice way.
Oh, once they're in bed, though, fucking little cunts. But yeah, so there will be language barriers. But I don't. So, like, as far as mad shit goes, there's a time I dragged a bloke out of a hotel with a belt around his neck and put him in a boot. I said, that's pretty mad. That was great for a reputation.
How'd that go? What happened that night? What'd he do?
So I kind of got to explain what I was kind of doing at the time. So I worked in hotels and nightclubs. I worked in we call pubs hotels. So a hotel, if I say hotel, I mean a pub, not like a fucking Hilton hotel. So like a bar, like you'll see in movies. Like what's the one you got in America? You got like an English pub, the fucking an Australian type pub. What are they called? they're like a theme pub where you pretend you drink Fosters and all that sort of shit. I can't think, but there's a chain pub, the Outback or some shit.
What's the equivalent of a place like a bar here means you definitely can get liquor and you can definitely get beer and maybe wine, but you can't necessarily get food.
Oh, so
a pub always implies that I think you can get some kind of food in the States.
There is, So a pub you can get meals, and there's a different part for the food, and then you've got the front bar usually, and you might have a side bar or a gambling bar and everything like that. But a pub predominantly has food. There's a few exceptions to the rules, obviously, when fucking
sure.
Certain pubs can't be fucked hiring a chef, but they'll always have a kitchen. Right. And a lot of our pubs are 100 years old and everything like that, so the cellar's still underneath. So I worked in pubs and nightclubs, so and most of my dealing for a certain amount of time was dealing speed to bouncers. So security guards and everything like that, I was kind of their guy to talk to. So as far as dragging a bloke out of a bar, so a person owed myself and some associates some money. So I got the word out and just do a bit of a walk around town. So where I sort of am from, and I'm sort of deviating over here, I tried to find the comparison as far as size goes. So where I'm from is like the population of Irvine.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's the same demographic. So figure the population of Irvine with, when I got here, 48 bars and nightclubs in a place the size of Irvine. So pubs and nightclubs. Wow. And I've probably worked in 25 of them in some capacity. So I got the word out that this person owed a small amount of money. I don't need to know how much money. Let me know if you see him and everything like that. So it's pretty simple. You just sort of go around and but our drug culture, our criminal culture, drink in pubs and nightclubs, where that's where deals are done, business is made, but connections are made, all that sort of shit. Pubs are very busy, so to speak. So got a call that dude had come in. So we drive over there. And I knew all the bouncers, especially this one because I was his dealer. And I thought, all right, we need to get him out, because you can't. He'd had enough warnings and everything like that. So as walking in, I just took my belt off, and then walked up, put in a little loop. He was standing at the bar, walked up, threw it over his neck, threw it over his head, pulled it tight, and just dragged him out of the bar and put him in the back of a Ford Laser. And then Ford Laser is a small car, I want to point out. This is not a big car, and the dude wasn't, he wasn't a midget. It took a bit of effort. And then we just, took him for a bit of a cruise, and then had a friendly conversation with him and dropped him back in town. That incident helped me quite a bit because I figured out very, very early that to sort of deal and collect the odd debt and everything like that, you don't need to be always violent.
Right.
You just need to do a few things a little bit out of the ordinary that are just it's not so much because you can punch shit out of someone. A lot of people can do that. So as long as you have a reputation that you might just do something a little bit crazy in front of witnesses. And this was in front of a busy hotel. This is like a Friday night. There would have been, there's a shitload of people in the pub at the time. But it been in a relatively small town as far as, not so, it's actually a big town. But as far as the community goes, everyone knows everything. And you do shit like that and people talk and everything like that. So,
right.
Yeah, that was pretty mad.
That's very interesting. That's a very classic, right? That's an old school gangster technique, which is anybody can go shove somebody around in the alley, but someone who could walk up to somebody else in a restaurant and say, "What's going on? What's the problem?"
There wasn't even a "What's going on? What's the problem?"
But to be able to do it in a room full of people and not have any concern or consequence about who might be there and who might stop you.
Well, the whole point is to do it knowing that people are going to be there. That people are going to be there. So anyone else in that pub, and this pub especially, because I did a fair bit of business in there. That spreads. And then when someone else owes a bit of cash, I don't have to do anything. I just talk to them. No, so like as far as dealing went, I kind of dealt for most of my life. So you kind of just pick up little things along the way. Like I started dealing pot when I was about 12 years old. It was like 12, 13 years old when I was, running pot on me pushy, little deadly treadly. So deals on wheels, running around on push bike. My sister dealt a little pot, which I discovered when I was about 12 years old. But I grew up with like no parental supervision and shit like that. So, we kind of had to pay bills. So I was like 12 and she was 16. So we're kind of living alone and she's raising me and everything like that. So we had to come up with money, and there's only so much the local takeaway joint where she worked at could actually pay. So I was kind of just dealing drugs. So you just kind of pick up shit along the way, and how to make a reputation without being too big, because too big ends up in jail. So you've got to kind of balance that as far as being a dealer and a criminal, essentially. If I want to be here, because here's where I can make money. If I go to here, I'm going to go to jail and become fucking, known to police a little bit too much. But if I go here, I can't make any money. So it's that balance of just being. So as far as being a crim and dealer, I kind of sat where I wanted to sit. I could have gone bigger, could have gone laid off and everything like that. But, dealing in nightclubs and dealing at bouncers is easy, especially because then I worked a lot. I always had a job, and I ran a bikie pub for a while, which is kind of convenient. We don't say bikers, we say bikies.
And you guys got tons of them, right?
All
bikers there, tons,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Motorcycle guys?
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll go into criminology here, because this isn't based on any of my personal knowledge. No, it's bullshit. I don't want to have my fucking legs broken. I'm retired and shit. So let's not piss off people. Yeah, as far as bikies in this country, they're in charge. So you've got the criminal underworld and everything like that. And I'm not saying bike clubs. It's not this fucking Sons of Anarchy shit. Bike clubs don't so much control, but bike club members may. You can't be in the drug world, like heavily in the drug world, without having some form of contact with what I call motorcycle enthusiasts.
Yeah.
But I also point out I used to do asset recovery for motorcycle enthusiasts.
Oh.
See? I could put that on my resume. I could put that on my resume. Asset recovery for motorcycle enthusiasts.
Asset recovery.
It's pretty fascinating, because they have some of the same motorcycle clubs we do, but then they have some of their own, like the Mongrel Mob and some.
No, Mongrel Mob's New Zealand.
Oh, that's New Zealand. Okay, sorry.
So our homegrown one's our most powerful homegrown one, and it's probably, I'd say, most powerful in this country as far as size goes, is the Rebels. Their patch has got a Confederate flag. So they used to be called. They were called the Confederates at some point, but way back in the 70s. So they're completely homegrown. They came out of New South Wales. They came out of Sydney.
Okay.
They've got, I think, 6,000, 7,000 members or something.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, around the world, they've branched out and everything like that.
Okay.
Yeah. The motorcycle enthusiasts, they don't fuck around. But we've got organised crime wise, we've got Italian organised crime, which is nothing like you guys. Like it's quite small, and mostly is a lot of times the closest we had to the mafia was like back in the 80s, when it was just massive pot growers out in New South Wales. We had the market murders back in the 60s, which is the Italian markets and everything like that, and everyone was getting murdered and stuff like that. We've had a lot of underworld wars. Now the difference is also with our underworld and our criminals is they all know each other. So like, even state to state. So in, say, Melbourne, so we had an underworld war a couple of years ago that I think it ended up being 26 of the biggest people in the city ended up getting murdered. And it was Jesus. Every
That's
week
you'd read house cleaning.
Oh no, it was both sides. Just every week you'd read, this bloke's been shot, but these were celebrities essentially, because we're founded on fucking convicts.
Yeah.
So, do you know who Ned Kelly is?
Yeah.
All right, so Ned Kelly, you can go see where he got murdered and where he got shot by police and everything. There's a fucking statue. There's, Kelly Descendants. It's like a tourist fucking place, and he may as well be on our $5 note and everything like that. and people get tattoos of him and everything, all this shit that he was, quintessential Australian. He was on the run because he murdered 3 cops.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to rob a whole heap of banks and then have a shootout with police. He's an Australian icon.
Is there a great movie about him?
I haven't seen the new one. The one with Heath Ledger's probably as close as far as what happened, but they've put him as that folklore hero and all that sort of thing. So because he took on the English because he was Irish. So Australia's had a very interesting relationship with the English because they say they found us, much to the surprise of the Aboriginals who'd lived here for 20,000 years prior. And they were, it's good that someone finally found the country. That's a bit of a very hot debate in Australia. So the English came over, but essentially they just killed all the Aboriginals and locked all the Irish up and made a prison out of a whole country. Yeah. So we've had a lot of uprisings back in the day from the Irish taking on the English and all that. And that was what Ned Kelly did. He took on the English. So he's seen as a bit of a hero in that aspect.
Oh, I see.
But, we're getting fucking way off topic.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
No, not at all.
But once you start talking fucking criminal history and shit, like I'm going to start worrying about.
I'm holding back. Like I had a question about what's his name, Milat, or I don't know how you say it, Ivan Milat.
Ivan Milat.
Milat, is that it? Milat.
Yeah.
I've never seen a documentary about him, but I'm a nerd for that kind of shit. But I was like, I'm not going to bring that up. That's going to.
All right, go on. You got 3 minutes. Go on, Mike. Go on.
No, I just don't know anything about it. What do you know about him? What's the deal?
Ivan Milat came from a family of, I think, 10 or 11 brothers and sisters. They were all crims. He's actually one of the only serial killers that was a criminal. He'd been to jail for armed robbery. I think he did some time for rape. He was just a terrible person who used humans as shooting practice.
That's what I had read about him, the shooting practice thing. But I don't know any.
He'd pick up hitchhikers, backpackers. So backpackers, he come over backpacker in Australia. So there's a lot of long highways in Australia because we're huge. And he just had this patch of road that he'd go back and forwards every now and then until he found a hitchhiker and he'd give him a lift and then he'd take him out of Belanglo State Forest and proceed to murder them, decapitate them, use them as shooting practice, sever their spinal cord, but so they were still alive but they couldn't move was another one.
No way.
He was pretty full on. Yeah, he died recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in our Supermax. We've only got one real Supermax in Australia, and you ain't getting out of there. If you go Supermax, you ain't getting out of there. Hey, look, if you want to Google someone really fucked up, Google Catherine Knight. One of our worst murderers in Australia was a woman.
Oh, really?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, she skinned her partner and hung his skin on a coat hanger. She was an abattoir worker. She did it with precision.
Oh,
shit. She cooked his head. She had his head, when the cops came in, his head was in a pot with vegetables for soup, and his ass cheeks were in the oven, and there were plates of veggies. She was gonna feed him to his kids.
No way.
No fucking way.
Dude.
Yeah, that's probably one of our worst ones by a woman. Now, she's as locked up as you can be locked up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there movies about both of them?
There's movies. There's a show about Milat, just called Finding Milat, Hunting Milat. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, there's a 2-part miniseries. You'll be able to find it somewhere online. They're making one about Catherine Knight, but how do you make a movie about that without it being just a total horror film?
Yeah.
Like,
is that the only person she murdered? Her husband?
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman is Catherine.
There you go. Nicole Kidman is Catherine Knight. Yeah, no, not how Catherine Knight looks.
Tom Hanks is Catherine Knight.
I just saw a picture of her. Yeah, exactly. I just saw a picture of Catherine Knight there.
If anyone can play a decapitated body, it's Tom Hanks. Let's be honest. If anyone can play a decapitated body, it's Tom Hanks.
That motherfucker can play anything. Shit.
Yeah, watch Christian Bale go method on it.
Yeah. What was your favorite drug? What was your favorite drug of choice?
So look, first and foremost, alcohol. That was, and I only say that because that was the only constant. That was from day one to day dot. That was always there. Then it was speed. because you could drink a lot more on speed. And that's why I relate to all of you guys in a different way. So I relate to Keith in a lot. One, because you're a punk dude, and because of your speed. And next time you say the words P2P, can you give props to Australia? Because we're the reason you got that shit.
Is that true?
Fuck yeah, man. 1987, right? So you go back to bike clubs. So I did once again, drifting off topic. We had the Hells Angels here, but someone had given permission to open a club like in the fucking 70s to Australia, and then just forgot it, and then just forgot about it. That there's a Hells Angel in Australia, like you don't have the internet and everything. So we found out about this drug called speed. So the dude from the Hells Angels called America and said, "Hey, we're your brother chapter," and they had to actually find the member in the Hells Angels who said, "Did you open a fucking club in Australia?" They said, "We want to make speed and everything." So they got a little bit discussion on the phone. But P2P was illegal in America. It wasn't illegal in Australia. You could buy that shit at the local hardware store, essentially. Right? So, dude, Peter Hill, his name was, he flew over to the States, had a bit of a party with your guys, went to jail, got told the recipe in prison, and then came over with the recipe, and we exported the P2P to you guys in the late 80s. Like, we're talking like hundreds of litres of the shit came from Australia in pineapple tins. So, like, obviously, once it gets to America, you can't, like, you've got to still smuggle the shit in. But yeah, you could buy the shit really easy over here. It wasn't even illegal. So crazy. Whenever you mention P2P, just I want you to props out to Australia. The respect we deserve. So as far as speed went, I think I'll go back on topic. We've always had some really fucking good speed. Like, as far as meth, as you said, meth's big now. But it came out, like, we got it in maybe the early 2000s, late 90s and early 2000s, same time as you. And it came out, it was called Shabu. And people gave it a go. But our speed was fantastic. And heroin was really big at that time too. We had a heroin epidemic around the same time.
Well, so speed was booming in LA in the early 90s.
Yeah,
too.
So
we just post. I felt like, and Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember just it being a very smooth transition from New York and cocaine to LA and crystal meth.
Yeah, I think it's like the early to mid 90s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 95 by 90. It was all cat piss yellow that I'd ever come across until around 95, 96. Someone showed me that crazy shit that looked like fucking snowflakes or glass.
The cat piss stuff you're talking about is what Nathan's talking about. That's the P2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So late 80s, early 90s. So I first used speeding around, I want to say 95, 96, so around that point. I was about 14, 15 maybe, so what's that, 96, 97. I'm nearly 40 now. Yeah, so around that point, used speeding. It was fucking good. So even when meth came over that first time, when we first started doing it, the other one is we don't have crack here. We don't have crack cocaine in Australia. We barely have fucking cocaine.
Wow.
Well, the reason we don't have cocaine is all you got to do is look at a fucking map. Like, we have a lot of cocaine, but by the time it hits street level, it's been jumped on more times than a kid's trampoline. Like, it's pretty. Oh, you want to hear me other one? It stood on more times than a race course. So by the time it gets street level, like, it's good and you can get high off it, but it's nothing to fucking write home about. A mate of mine went over to the States and pretty much just did a cocaine bender. He went to America and Mexico and just had the whole time. Him and his mates are just on coke because we don't have it, and the other part is it's fucking expensive. Like, you're talking hundreds for fuck all. So if you can get other drugs that are just as good or better, like cocaine only lasts you half hour, 45 minutes of enjoyment, and then it's gone. Where you pay the same amount for good amphetamines, you're racking lines all night, and if you can get good amphetamines, which I very much so could, you're laughing. So we don't have crack. And so going back, so the reason meth didn't really take off is there was no way to smoke it. We didn't have crack pipes, so because you smoke it in a pipe. They weren't here. Right. Like, no one used them. So people were just snorting it, which is obviously not going to be the same. You've got the injecting drug using community, which at that point was fucking heroin and speed based anyway. And the speed, as I said, the speed was good. The heroin killed everybody. So, it sort of came and went, and then it came out a few years later, and then now everyone's on it. I don't even think you can get speed anymore.
Oh, really?
Like,
Wow.
I'm sure, like, it was making a comeback, but I think amongst those older motorcycle enthusiasts and truck drivers and stuff like that, who'd been using speed for so many years, and then started, and nothing had gone wrong. They had a pretty good life, and they were parties and everything. Then jumped on methamphetamine, then all of a sudden their life starts falling apart. So like, oh, hang on, let's go back to what I used to do that didn't fuck up my life, and I did that for 20 years. So it made a comeback. But meth's big at the moment.
Is that so? Is the speed you did? Was it pills?
No, powder or clag. We called it.
Oh, okay.
So that fucking sticky shit that you can't put up your nose properly.
Yeah. Okay.
So we just called it clag because clag is a glue like brand in Australia. So just look, there's sticky. And I used to hate getting hold of it when I just wanted to use immediately, like in a nightclub or a pub or something. Like, how the fuck am I meant to do this? Like, give me something I can, chop up and fucking slam up my nose. This is like, I'm just going to shove glue up my nose, which I did.
Wait, so what would you? Oh, is that what you would do? You would just
shove a fucking point of a gram just shoved it right up my nose and keep sniffing until it dissolves.
You never you didn't parachute it? You never parachuted it?
What's parachuting?
It's when you put it in a swallow. You put it in like a fucking in a rolling paper, or just swallow a shard.
Nah.
Fuck, dude, that shit was fucked up.
Now I like to know I was going to be fucked up within 10 minutes. Like even with like ecstasy and everything like that, I'll crush that shit up and snort that. Like everything went up the nose. Like, oh, there's a bad experience. I wanted to come down once. I was kind of just going, okay, I'm done now. So do you know what Largactil is? Chlorpromazine.
No.
High strength antipsychotic. I was prescribed it at one point. It's what they give, when you're in psych hospitals. Well, and they inject you with shit, and then you go to sleep. A lot of the time, that is liquid Largactil. It'll drop you. You ain't swinging on this, right?
Yeah.
So just a high strength antipsychotic. So I was prescribed that because I was a Looney Tune. But I wanted to come down once, so I crushed that up and snorted it. And that was not fun. That was an OD. Yeah, that was a bad experience.
That was an OD?
Yeah, I OD'd on that.
How many ODs you got?
For someone who never really got into heroin, I don't know.
Yeah.
So OD as far as getting my stomach pumped, OD as far as collapsed on the floor in a puddle of vomit, those sort of ODs.
I mean, it sounds like.
Yeah, that sounds like an OD.
I think that'll count.
Vomiting, looking at red shit, thinking, geez, I hope I drank red wine. Fucking. Oh, no.
Dude, the red... Oh, God, you gave me a horrible memory. Vomiting red wine's the worst fucking thing.
Yeah, but no, vomiting red wine's fine, but it's when you haven't drank red wine and your vomit is still that red colour. That's when you're concerned.
That's when you're concerned. Ooh.
Oh, no, as far as what I'd count as an OD, so non-fatal, obviously, because I'm still fucking alive, 18, 20, something around there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I liked prescription medication.
Not a quick learner.
I like taking
it. Okay.
No. So, like, because I'd party. Because of, like, alcohol and speed, you'd party, and have a good time in your life, and, days on end, and then it's like, okay, I'm done now. Okay, time to relax. Yeah. So, you take Xanax, Largactil, quetiapine, whatever, high-strength antidepressant, antipsychotic would, help you sleep. And the reason it's going to help you sleep is it's essentially just like any drug that can knock out a 3-day amphetamine bender within fucking half an hour, that's a strong drug. So, a lot of the times it didn't work out that well. But I've woke up in numerous hospitals. And because I was a blackout, I'd wake up in hospital with the fucking things on my chest and, that fucking thing down my throat and drips and everything like that. I hated the fucking drinking charcoal one. They've kind of got rid of that, I noticed. In the end of my using, you didn't have to drink charcoal anymore. They just put you on a drip and fucking shove shit down your throat instead. But
what's the longest you've ever stayed awake?
I knew you'd ask that, and it's always you that ask that. You ever realise that?
Oh, he knows.
When I discovered this podcast, I fucking binged it like non-stop, and I was so devastated when it stopped. And it's like, hey, what the fuck? Because I caught in like on episode 20 or something like that. So and then it just stops. Like, I got to wait how long for a fucking episode? And then it's like, if you haven't posted one in 3 days, I'm like, oh, you fuckers, get off your asses. You know, come on. Holding fucking resentments against just for not finding a drug addict to talk to. So, because I knew you were going to ask how long I stayed away for. So, yeah, my going rate was like 3-4 days anyway. Because as I said, I worked throughout this whole time. I ran hotels, I ran venues, and I was very good at it too. Like, apart from the dealing and everything like that, I still had a job. So I had to work full time, deal drugs, work full time. So that was pretty much my schedule: is go to work, bang, 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 finish work, go do what I got to do, finish that, go back to work, open the venue, and so on and so on and so on. All while consuming the amount of daily alcohol intake I needed. Because it was the point of needed. But I'd say, around the going rate was 3, and I want to say like I started for like 5-6 days a couple of times. But even in the 5-6 days, and there's probably more, you probably go to 10, because even if I was sleeping, it wasn't sleep, it was, an hour,
Screensaver.
Yeah, just like an hour here, 2 hours here.
Screensaver, man.
Yeah, where I'd become unconscious because drinking so much booze. I'd essentially just pass out at one point and then wake up, and it might be 6 hours later, or it might be an hour later, and then it's like, okay, here we go again, back into it. And I worked at a hotel when I was still in the bikie pub. It opened at 7 a.m. and closed at 1 a.m. So I'd be there at 7. This wasn't every day, but I'd open the pub at 7, work all day, and I might be just chipping away as far as amphetamines go, because I never did any business out of that pub. That was not my place to do business in that pub.
Wow.
That was. There were some higher caliber people than myself. I was, and I drank with these people, and I was friends with them and everything like that, and they kind of knew what I did, but at no point would I be, slinging it over the bar in this joint. This place had bulletproof glass on the windows. Like, there was still bullet holes from a bike he wore back in the fucking early 90s in the bar. It was, so I didn't deal out of there. But, so 7 a.m. I'd open up, and I'd just be, chipping away as far as, just shoving a key in a bag of speed and, just doing that little bump, just to keep me awake pretty much. And, I drank behind the bar and everything like that. So I was able to, I was a very functioning drug addict for a very long time.
Oh.
So, and to like every drug addict, you stop being a functioning drug addict, and then you become a full-blown fucking drug addict, and then your life goes down, and it's all bad. But for a long time, I was pretty fucking good.
It is weird, the feeling you have when you have that balance, right? Like when you are in that moment, like, and you start to think that things are fine, like.
But by the end of my using, when I the the last stint in rehab, which is when I got probably clean, I weighed 59 kilos. So what's that in pounds? Like 130, 120 around there.
Wow. How tall are you?
6 foot.
Oh, wow.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah. You could see my
That's like me. That's like me, I came in, I was 127 pounds, and I'm 6'3".
Oh, yeah.
And you guys seen the pics. Yeah.
But, because I had also an inflamed liver, like I had my liver had grown out, you could see it because I had no weight on me in this giant fucking liver. So I could actually, point to my liver. Was how bad it was. Ooh. So, I was fucking proper unwell by the end. And
where is that? Where do you start to notice that, just in case?
Oh, you don't notice it because you're fucked up. You don't notice that shit. The doctor notices that.
Got it. Good. I feel better already.
Yeah. When he pokes it, you scream in agony.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. And he goes, let's have a look at that.
Let's have a peek at that. Let's have a look at that.
Oh, I remember I was sitting in rehab once, and because I ended up having to be on every fucking mental health medication you could think of, but I was on physical stuff too because my body was just shot. I call it old man medication. I was on stuff to really bring me back. And I remember sitting there waiting outside the nurses with another resident, and they've walked past with this giant bag of pills, and it was my exit day, and I walked out with this giant bag of pills, and the dude next to me's gone, I wouldn't mind getting hold of that. And I just looked at him and went, that's my medication. that's mine, man. Like, you may want it. Like, I have to take all that shit.
I work at a sober living and we had somebody that was leaving a little while ago, and same thing, and I got the bag ready, and I got the bag ready for because they take all their meds, and I go to give them to the guy, and he goes, "Fuck," he was like, "That's all." He goes, "I'm gonna look like he's like we have this term J-cat, and a J-cat is kind of like, so it's a dude that's in like when you're in jail and you're kind of like in like the mental health fucking thing, like you were like they don't put you in with all the other motherfuckers just because you're like that far gone and you're getting
we
fucking,
do we have them all in the same
pills.
fucking place.
Yeah. So here it's so the term for it is a J-cat. That's the street terminology, and I taught that to this kid because he didn't know, like he's like fucking 18. He don't know what, and he goes to leave, and I'm getting his meds for him, and he goes, "Man," he goes, "even my parents are gonna think I'm a J-cat when they come to pick me up."
Oh, no.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm I want to be like, well, you are. Like, what are you talking about?
The funniest I always do, my wife tells it that I rattled when I walked, like when I'd have to carry my meds, or if I'd even taken them, like she go, "You take so many meds, you rattle when you walk." But you know how you get the 7-day little pill pack?
Yeah.
And it's meant like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, no, I filled one of them for the day. Like that was my daily pack, and my wife would have to sit there and get my pills ready for the day. I'll tell some funny stories about her help me in recovery. Because she thinks they're fucking. She doesn't think they're funny. I think they're fucking hilarious. So hang on, we'll go back to my drug use because you asked. So my drug of choice, was always alcohol. But Australia's a big drinking culture, so drinking at the pub all the time is not a big deal. Like it's you're not an alcoholic if you're not unconscious. If you're conscious, you got no problem. So. And I worked in
a move in my future.
Oh mate, you'd be right. Oh mate, we had a bloke come over from Canada and think he could drink, so we ended up almost putting him into hospital by just going, "Yeah, really?" So he woke up unconscious in his friend's house. He didn't even know where he was, and it's like, "Yeah, don't turn around to an Australia so you can fucking drink with us, you can't." So like alcohol. So through the I started on booze when I was like 10. 12 years old, started smoking weed, loved that, started selling weed. Around 14, 15, got into speed, gave that a decent whack. Went back to, because I went to rehab when I was 16. After it was suggested by a person in a uniform and a person who sits on a big bench that I should probably go to rehab. So that was it was a strong suggestion. And there was an alternative. They offered me an alternative, and I chose rehab because I got done for a whole heap of shit, but I had no recollection of doing it. Like, I was just off my guts. Like I was driving around the car, theft from petrol stations and things like gas stations or whatever you call them. So stealing petrol, stealing gas, just running amok. Getting into all this shit. So they're pulling up all this evidence, and I'm looking, going, "Yeah, that's me," because I'm on fucking surveillance. And it's like, yeah, I guess I did that. I'm gonna have to plead guilty on that one. Like I'm doing shit, I'm not covering my face or anything like that. I'm off my fucking dial, a bit of amphetamines, booze, and cannabis, of course. So I went to rehab, come out of there. I stayed sober for 20 minutes. 15 maybe. Well, I wasn't there to get clean. I was there to not get locked up.
Yeah,
Yeah, so and even now I think, I'll lay off the booze and everything like that. And it's like, but they sent me out with a heap of Valium and everything like that. Like they sent me out with medication. And I remember I went to my sister's house after rehab, and I'm sitting in a toilet, and I've just got Valium lined up my leg, like I've taken them all out.
Wait, you went into rehab and they sent you home with Valium?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Jesus.
I got Valium and...
I mean, that's insane. That's crazy thing.
I got Valium and naltrexone and something else. So naltrexone, Danny would know is...
we're going to send you home with one of the most addictive, but yes, publicly accepted drugs.
The other thing is, by that point, I was already taking Valium and all. I'd been prescribed Valium as a kid.
Right.
So I was fucking nutcase as a kid. So they put me on it. They diagnosed me with a whole heap of shit when I was little. I had like a nervous breakdown when I was 10 due to some trauma in my childhood and shit like that. very abusive, domestic violent household. So I had a breakdown when I was 10. So I've been in psych services since, I was 10 years old. And at 10 years old, I'm in psych services. At 10 years old, I also discover alcohol. Ooh, there's not a connection at all.
Yeah.
So, I'd been on Valium. But, I just sat there and just popped Valium until I was fucked up. And then it's like, back to normal. But, so then there was that. So I stopped using amphetamines for a bit, but hooked up with a chick who dealt a lot of pot. So we were then dealing a lot of pot. And then I broke up with her the best way. She was a fucking psycho. She threw an ashtray at my head and everything like that. So she was just crazy. I just thought she was, like quiet when I first knew her. Like I knew her when we were really little because I'm from a country town. And I just thought she was quiet. Turns out, no, she's a fucking psychopath. But how I broke up with her, she was... You'll like how I broke up with her. So my mum always rented houses but then never paid the rent. So I always had a house, but then the landlord would come and evict us and the power would get cut out all the time and phone would be cut off and, I'd be sitting in darkness, no phone. But, and that's why my sister would sort of sort us out. But so we always got evicted and we're getting evicted and this girl was living with me and it's like, okay, I'm going to, and I've got a new place and, went and checked it out and everything like that. Right near the high school, and I was only 17 times. So it's like, sweet, I've got the customers right there, fantastic. This is a senior campus, so I can do all the other 17-year-olds. And so she had to stay at her friend's house while we were doing the move, and then I moved in and called her and broke up with her. So I literally just moved house and didn't invite her in the end. But she thought she was moving in with me again, and it's like, yeah, you're not coming. She didn't like that.
God, no.
Yeah, but I told her after I'd moved into the house. Like I'd already set up and everything like that. She didn't have a fucking key, so I was like, see you later. But even throughout all that part, I made it so people didn't know where I lived and everything like that. But then in that house, I started just dealing, copious amounts of pot. So as I was saying before, I like and respect you for different reasons I relate. So as I said with Keith, there's the speed and the punk rock. And with Mike, I've got OCD and very controlled OCD. And don't let them bag your taste in music, man. You got the sickest taste. Joy Division, greatest band ever. Don't let them any give you shit about.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I know my taste is good.
Yeah, that's right. But then the one I really respect and like about Danny is the love of the hustle. The hustle is fucking best. Right? And every time I hear your little this bit here, this, and then you got to do this and this and this and this and this, I fuck it, yeah. So when I was living in this place, I'll tell you about the hustles we had. So I ended up having a mate live with me. Now he only just got out of the drug world recently, and we started out strong together. He's still a very close friend of mine. Tough fucking boy. So yeah, one of our hustles, which is so at this point we're dealing, grams of pot, quarter of an ounce here and there, a bit of speed, because we could always get good speed. And his older brother was a proper crim. So, and his older brother's done 24 years jail out of a possible 28. So he's just in and out. So we're able to get connections through there. But yeah, this hustle was great because we had a friend who liked ecstasy and she worked at a supermarket. So she kept getting promoted. We never understood because she stole everything. Right? She was just rotten. She ended up as an assistant manager and everything. Before that, this girl worked at Macca's, and you'd front up at McDonald's at a certain time. Oh, remind me of Macca's. We call McDonald's Macca's. Sorry. So if I say Macca's, I mean McDonald's. So yeah, we'd front up at a certain time and order a Happy Meal, and she'd send us out with 2 massive bags of hamburgers and shopping fries and everything like that. Which when you're a stoner, all you got to do is get to McDonald's at 11 o'clock and you're leaving with giant bags of food. You keep that contact sweet.
Dude, that's the jackpot.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That is. Yeah, that's nice.
So she ended up working at this supermarket. Even if you went with your parents or anything like that, you'd go to her aisle at the checkout because she'd move the decimal point. So if you bought $100 worth of groceries, you paid $10. We still don't know how she got away with it. But yeah, she just moved the decimal point on your purchase. So people would front in with their parents, they're straight parents, and go get in that aisle with your, $150 worth of groceries. And when this girl would finish, she'd go, oh, that's $15, thanks. And these straight people would be looking at their kids, us, going, what the fuck? It's just shut the fuck up and pay your $15, mum. Let's get the fuck out of here. But yeah. her hustle was she liked ecstasy. So every Friday night she'd turn up at my house. She'd turn up a few people's house, but I was always the first off, with cartons of cigarettes. And I'm not talking like 2 or 3 cartons of cigarettes. She'd open the boot and there'd be 30 cartons of cigarettes in there. Now, cigarettes in Australia are pretty fucking expensive.
Yeah,
like at
really
this point,
expensive.
Well, a pack of 20s in Australia, a pack of 20 cigarettes of a shit brand is $27.
No.
No, I'm not fucking shitting you, man.
Dude.
So I roll my own. It's 25 grams. Oh, yeah. So have a look at what our cigarette packets look like. That's our cigarette
What do you smoke?
packet.
What's your brand? What is it?
Oh, it's the cheapest one you can get. Whatever that brand is.
Yeah.
I'm a very heavy smoker. But yeah, so back in this time, a carton of cigarettes was around about like $70 to $85.
Yeah.
Right. But because one, I smoked a lot, and two, I could pay. I'd get them for $20 off this girl, $20 a carton. Right. So $100, I got 5 cartons of cigarettes. Right. Now I smoke a lot, and even at this point, still 5 cartons is still a shitload of cigarettes. But we knew a dude who, for 4 cartons, would give you an ounce of pot. So we take 1 carton for myself to smoke, 4 cartons to him. He sells us an ounce of pot. Because it's Friday night, me and my mate quickly do that quick hustle and dealing in grams, just fucking, and at that point, $20 a gram, $25 a gram, depending on who's buying. So the $20 was going rate, but if you're a fucking idiot, then I'm charging you 25, right? And they still pay that because they're the dead shits who think they're cool, right? Mm-hmm. So we just go bang, 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 and hustle, quick, because we want to party too. It's 5 o'clock when we get dropped off the cigarettes. We got to get over to Fat Joe's place, trade him for the pot, bag up the pot, sell the pot, bang, 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 get that out, right? Depending on what the market was calling for, if we've done the ounce, we then quickly go to Fat Joe's, buy another ounce, quickly bag that. But you're not going to overcapitalise and everything like that and be left with a giant bag of pot that yes you can smoke, but now you got no money. So by the end of it, we'd end up with a large enough bag of pot for us, a full carton of cigarettes, and a shitload of cash off our $100 investment.
Yeah.
And with that shitload of cash, then we can go out and buy some speed. We might go out and buy some pills. These girls who were selling it to us, they didn't give a shit. They wanted $100. A pill at that point was around $25, $30. They just wanted a couple of pills and enough to go out on the piss. So get on the drink, have a couple of pills. So that was one hustle we had going. The other hustle at this time was like a car wrecker, people big wrecking yards and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was a dude in next town over. As I said, I'm originally from the country. And by country, I don't mean fucking a gas station and a shop. I mean, like the town I'm from had 14,000 people. The town next door, just 10 minutes down the road, had about the same and everything. So it's more of a district.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So doing the next town over, if you could get a car to him, did not matter what state it was, right? You got a quarter ounce of dope. If you got a very nice car in a good state, then you could negotiate prices on ounces of pot. Now, pot's never where the money is, and you guys know that. Speed is where the money is. And if you can get closest, and if you can get as close to the cook as possible without being caught in a fucking kitchen, then you're good. So I like to not go where the kitchen was, but I want the next step below the kitchen. I want that guy. The one he gets up in the kitchen. I want to get as close to that guy as possible. I don't want to get caught in a massive raid in a lab, but I do want the closest connection because, especially because, as I said, the speed was good. If you can get there, then you can cut that shit like no tomorrow. So that's where the cash is. And if speed, and this is throughout most of my using, speed on the street was about $200 a gram, right? And I don't know, what's that compared to America? Like, we're talking early 2000s at this point.
It was probably 60.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, so we're paying 200 street level for speed, sometimes more, like 250.
Wow.
When I'm buying, I'm not paying more than 120, and I'm getting quality. So I'm paying 120. Now I can cut that fucking easy. Like, very rarely when I was back in, and I'm drifting off, but when I was properly dealing speed, very rarely did I not have to cut the shit to actually be it congestible. Like, it was too strong, burn the shit out of your nose, it's not going to be enjoyable. So everything I got, like, I used to have to cut it for myself to use because it's like, I'm opening this shit up. So the closer you can get to the chef. So you deal pot to sort of an investment. All right, I need to put this on the street to make the money, to buy this, to then really make the profit.
Yeah.
So now I don't know about you with cars. Australia, we know a lot about cars. We're very that minded. We have race, not. So we got V8 supercars. A car's a status symbol as far as how big the engine is, not how cool it looks and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a make a car called a Holden Kingswood, and it's they made them from 1978 to 1972 to 1978. The key for both the lock and the ignition for the Kingswood and 5 different models were all the same, right? So one key, if I own that car, that key is going to get into every single one of that model. And even when they changed the model to what's called a Holden Commodore, so a VB Commodore, which was 1978, and they discontinued in, I think, about 88, 89, but I think up to 87, same deal. That key would fit in any other Holden Commodore unless you change the barrel. Right?
That's crazy.
Ford Meteor, yeah, but only dodgy fuckers know this. Right? Normal people aren't going to go find this out. Like normal members of society don't know that their key's going to start their neighbours, right? Because they don't.
Right.
Like, this is sort of the knowledge you learn in the community that you're involved with.
Yeah, right.
So this guy had just paid cut. So what we used to do is, we a couple of mates, you get $200, you buy a car out of a thing called the Trading Post. So it was like a paper, and they sell you shit cars. So for $200, you could get a car that had like a week's registration on it and everything like that. We'd buy that, take it out to the bush and have fun with it. So take it out and, rally it round, plough it into trees, do whatever and everything like that. As long as it could still drive and we could get it to this bloke, we got a quarter ounce of dope. $200 investment. We've had fun. We get a quarter ounce of dope, which around the time was about $90 to $100 anyway.
Yeah.
But what we wanted out of these piece of shit cars was not the fun, was not the quarter ounce. We wanted the key. We just wanted the key. Right, because this fucker would buy them without the key. So for $200, we now have a key that can open hundreds of cars and start hundreds of cars. And they're older cars. So this is in the 90s. So they're 10-year-old, 20-year-old cars anyway. But you get one in good condition. This bloke might hook you up with 2 ounces of pot. Sell those 2 ounces of pot. We've off our fuck all investment, our original $200 investment, which we've already smoked anyway. That was our $70 quarter. So yeah, and so on and so on and so on. So then we've got between me and my boys, we had just collections of keys, like to different sorts of cars. And they're only like 5 or 6 cars that it could actually work on. Occasionally we buy a car to see if that key would work on other models. And, worst case scenario, we get some fun and a quarter of dope for our, investment. So, yeah, there was that hustle. Even when I got older and got a bit more serious, so I stopped dealing. There's probably like times throughout my life where I stopped dealing for like 3 months here, 4 months there, for numerous reasons. Might be running a bit, bit red hot, or, just getting a bit lazy. And I tried to never be lazy, because if you want to get caught being a dealer, behave like a dealer. All right? I always, made sure to not look like a dealer. The fact of dealing speed, and I worked in the industry, the standard work shirt in a hotel is a black shirt, black pants. So because I worked in it, I could float between places, and I'd stand on the door with bouncers and talk to them looking exactly the same they are. I'd walk through nightclubs looking the exact same as the bar staff. So I was hiding in plain sight. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that sort of shit. So, yeah, I'd go back and forwards. I ended up moving up where I am because I was running a bit too red hot. If red hot means, do you even say red hot? So hot. Red hot means you're drawing attention to yourself. Yeah, you're running hot.
Running hot.
You draw. Yeah, the police are a bit more paying attention to you. And by this point, me and my friends, we were getting dragged in for shit we didn't even do. But being a small town, they're like, okay, a dodgy thing is being committed. Let's bring the boys in and see if anyone, if it's one of them. Country towns, and by the time you're 18, because the other thing when I was a kid, the cops didn't arrest you as a teenager a lot, right? They just beat the shit out of you. They just take you out of town, and we're all from the pine plantation, so pine to make paper and everything. They take you out there and just smack the shit out of you and leave you out there, which is 6-7 mile. I'm trying to convert 6-7 mile out of town, and you'd have to walk back. And the fuckers would take your shoes, and if they knew where you lived, they'd leave. No, if they knew where you lived, they'd leave your shoes in the letterbox. like for when you got home. So you'd walk 7 miles down and you'd find your shoes left in the fucking letterbox.
No way. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, but that you got dumped in the bush. You copped a flogging if you were playing up, but you got dumped in the bush because you were found on the street. So if you're walking around at 2 o'clock in the morning and they see you, you're going out the bush. Like they're just going to drop you out there for shits and giggles, like they're for fun. So yeah, but by the time I was late 18, I was getting into a lot of trouble, and I ended up in a dispute over a set of knuckle dusters. You know what knuckle dusters are?
Yeah.
So like knuckle busters, but with like 1 centimeter spikes on the end of them. No. They had like a centimeter spike on the end of each of them, so on every finger. Okay. So like that. If you punch someone with a set of knuckle dusters, you've just given them a new mouth, right? They just get a new one on the side. It just splits them right open.
Yeah, well,
so
that's
I came down
nice
to
that's a gesture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'd had a dispute. Just this guy. We'd never gotten along ever. We tried to because we were, a small town, same community, all that sort of shit. We just never got along, and we'd be civil for a bit, and then we'd end up in a fight and all that stuff. So I come down. I won't go into massive detail because I don't really want to be going to jail. But yeah, dispute over knuckle dusters, and it was getting too much. And I remember going, "Fuck this! I'm going to settle this." So I said to my mate, "I said, fuck this. We're going to do this." I said, "Let's go get a gun." And he's like, "Yep, all right, fuck it, whatever." And he was the one who fucking talked me out of doing something. He goes, because we're going to buy, and in Australia, like we don't care what gun it is. 22 rifle to us is just as fine. Like you're not aiming for something like your guns. You can shoot a mile in the distance. If you're shooting someone in a lounge room, you don't need someone to shoot a mile in a distance. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you get. So we're driving, and my mate actually, I just don't get it. Like some of your guns, like what do you need that for? Like, what the fuck do you need a clip that lets out 20 rounds at a distance of 1 mile? If you need 20 shots to hit something that's 7 feet in front of you, you shouldn't be in possession of a gun anyway. If you're that shit at using it, what the fuck do you need that for? Like,
for real. Yeah, for real.
No, that's the truth.
But either way, we're going to do this thing, and my mate was the one who said, you shouldn't do this, and it was from a good place. I'm still mates with this guy. He just goes, you can't get it, that this isn't going to work. Like, and I said, I can't let the bloke this has got to end, my reputation and all that shit. I'm fucking 18 and shit. My reputation, I've got to fucking do that. He goes, you're going to get done no matter what. He said, all right, say you go around there, you beat the shit out of him. He's probably going to lag, and lag means to inform. So shoot him, you beat him, he's going to rat on you anyway, because there's rumours that he got bail a lot more often than most for charges he shouldn't be getting bailed for. So there's a bit of suspicion. He goes, so you do this, he lives, whatever. He's going to rat you. You're then in jail, like you're done, because I already had criminal, and at that point the police knew definitely who I was. They'd fronted up a few times and had numerous conversations and quiet chats with me. And he goes, and so even if you do it, you're done, you're fucked. He goes, and he was good with you. He goes, we can go I'll go get it for you and everything like that, but there's no win out of this. So he goes, maybe, and run around, and I was using a shitload, so I was making those poor decisions, those poor choices. And my mate knew that my poor choices were going to eventually impact on him. So he was doing it from a selfish place because he was, my partner in most things. So he goes, why don't you just go away? And he goes, I'll sort out everything else. And I did. I decided to leave on a Saturday and was moved on a Tuesday. I moved to my dad's farm, detoxed myself on a farm. That sucked. And then, I didn't deal for a little bit, still used every now and then, drank a shitload. And then eventually I met a girl who didn't know when I met her, but I met her at this bikie pub that I ended up working in. So anyone who drinks there, any girl who drinks there knows people. It wasn't a hotel you could just wander in and go, I'll have a martini, thank you. Like, you walk into that. When people walked in there that you didn't know, it was, you may as well have in the movie where the record scratches and everyone just stares. Like, it was that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I met this girl.
Those places are fun.
Oh no, because I really only drank in pretty rough places, pretty bad places. I didn't want places that sold martinis. Like I drink beer, right. I drink vodka, I drink properly, and I drink with proper people. But I met this girl. Anyway, all good, all sorted. Ended up with her, but I didn't know immediately she was a dealer. She was a drug dealer. And she didn't tell me in that first couple of weeks we were together. I asked around about her because small community, and then I wanted to find out any inside information and everything. So is she a psychopath and all that sort of shit? But it turns out she was a dealer. Now this is where it gets kind of Now this is where I got to tread a bit more carefully and tiptoe. So being with her, so her family were motorcycle enthusiasts. So I kind of, in a sense, when I ended up with this girl, I married into bikies, right? So being, so, okay, hang on. Tiptoeing just a little bit. So her immediate family were very highly regarded and well respected in the motorcycle enthusiast community. And her best friend was the old lady of a club president. Okay, so by purely dating this girl, I'm all of a sudden in a new caliber. Now, back in the day, me and my friends had done some debt collecting for the local bike club and everything like that. Debt collecting was pretty easy, especially because they know who they owe. So debt collecting for motorcycle enthusiasts is really easy. They know who they owe. You just have to remind them that they need to pay. So a lot of the time, that's all debt collecting is. It's we're here to let you know you have 4 days. Very rarely do you need to go that extra day, because you just tell them, in 4 days' time, if you don't have the money, this is going to be a different conversation. We don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And we're also taking that TV on our way out as collateral.
And what's the window on that, by the way? Let me ask that question, because I've always, I don't know if is there a standard, how many days you go to a guy who owes you money and he's late, right? So going in with fucking half the degenerates you lend money to that they're not going to pay on time, right? So this is when you can, isn't part of that the point, to be able to extort from them a higher vig as you hold them in that?
Interest is a bit different here. We want what's owed. We want what's owed. Yeah. So, one thing that Australia has over America, we have a really good welfare system. And we've got something called universal healthcare. Have you heard of universal healthcare? It's really good. It's going to help a lot of people.
No, haven't heard it.
Might want to look into that. Might want to look into that.
I like paying exorbitant amounts for health insurance. So anyway, mind your business.
Hey, real quick, I
bet I can make you feel really bad really quickly, Michael.
I got to real quick. I got to run. I got a sponsee that just got here. But Nathan, dude, great to meet you. Sorry, I want to hear more of this.
That's all right. We can have a chat down the track. You know.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
All right. Cool.
Later, guys.
All right, Danny.
So, Mike, with medication like Prozac and everything like that, the most you'll pay for mental health medication in Australia is $35.60. Anything. So we have a thing called PBS. So if we're collecting a debt, so the reason I mentioned the welfare system is even if you don't have a job, all right, most people are on the welfare system. We call it the dole. All right? Now that's not a lot of money. It's not much to live
on. That's old school. That's what my grandfather used to call it.
It's still the
old
dole.
Irish thing. He used to call
English Irish.
English Irish, and he's an old Irishman, and he would he passed a long time ago, but he used to always call it the dole.
Yeah. So
get on the dole with that almighty dollar.
Yeah. So at the moment, pays I think $500 a fortnight. So every 2 weeks, $500. So no matter what, this fucker has once every 2 weeks has $500, right? Or whatever the going rate is at that point. And it's just about knowing when his fucking payday is. So it's every Thursday. That's the thing. It's not a Tuesday. It's not a Wednesday. Everyone gets paid on a Thursday. Even if you have a job, you get paid on a Thursday. That is the going rate across Australia. Thursday's payday. So it depends on what day you're close to Thursday it is. So, and it also depends on how much they owe. Right? And that's the thing, we have a thing called run-throughs. So if someone owes money, you run through their house. And it's not literally run. It just means you go in their house. You sit them down with preferably some very large gentlemen on each side of them, and you just say, sit the fuck down, and you go through their house. And, you know, meticulously, like, you'd love it, Keith, because you get to just have access to their junk drawer. But you find any money, any drugs they've got. Most drug addicts have got drugs, even if they owe money for drugs. They've still got something on them. So you take that. You take their TV. You take their electrical. You clear them out. I know a person who got cleaned out by a removal truck. They fucking owed money. So the dude's fronted up with a removal truck and took her everything. Didn't give a shit what it was. Just cleared her out.
Now,
so,
does that diminish the debt at all?
Well, it depends on what they got. They still have to, but it depends on what you take. If they owe, so say if they, let's just throw it up. So they owe $1,000, and they owe $1,000. Fuck off.
Yeah.
And you take $3,000 worth of shit, then their debt's cleared.
Cool. Oh, right.
Yeah, right. You don't go, I'm going to sell this and then I'll give this back and we'll split the profits. No, if they've got $5,000 worth of shit in their house and they owe $1,000, then they've just had to pay $5,000 for their $1,000 debt. So they should have just paid. So debt collecting is really easy. But yeah, we're going back to, so when I started up with this girl, without knowing, well, not straight away, I'd essentially married into the bike scene. So she was a pot dealer. So back in the saddle I go, back to dealing pot and everything like that. And but at this point I was just doing a little bit of speed, like as in just helping myself, not selling it or anything like that. So a little bit of pot, not a little bit of pot, large amount of pot. We ended up as growers, so we used to grow the shit. So just using a bit, and then because of the connections that she had, and then I eventually started working in this bike club and working at this bikie hotel, bikie pub, making more connections. That's when the amphetamines dealing came in. So I was already sweet with most people, but this just put me on that level because she was very, very well regarded and well respected. Her family was a very well respected group, and she was very tight with some higher ups of one particular club, but she also knew presidents and vice presidents and sergeant at arms and everything like that. So she didn't know the local, bloke who rides the Harley down the road. She was very close with some very important people, and by default, I became very close to them and started doing numerous things under their guidance. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, guidance, so to speak. And then we ended up moving house once my son was going, because I have a child with this person. So we moved house and we moved. So you know how you got like clubhouses, so the big in the industrial estates and everything like that. And then you've got like an actual house, so a member's house where sort of the parties might happen and everything like that, and that sort of environment. We moved across the road from one of them. And the people who lived at that house, my ex, used to babysit their kids. So she's that close with this family that we've now moved across the road from. So then I started knocking around with those guys. And they were fantastic because that got me very, very close to a cook. A lot of those boys, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, that was what eventually led to me going rough and using too much. So do you want to hear about the recovery part, or?
How old are you at this point? Like 20s?
20. I want to say 22, 23. And
you said you got sober when you were what, 27?
27, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
how did you get? How are those next 5 years? How did you hit that bottom?
So I'm working in the hotels before. I'm selling to nightclub bouncers and everything like that. Oh, there's a funny story about nightclub bouncers. I was standing out front of a nightclub once, and I had a reputation because I could blue a bit, but I fought a lot. The more fights you have, the more likelihood you're going to win. So I used to have a lot of bar fights and everything like that. And because I'm working in hotels, I'm throwing drunks out, and it's as you said, smacking them in the alley as well and everything like that. So got a relatively good reputation that I go all right and everything. So I'm standing out front of a nightclub talking to my friends, bouncers and everything, and they boot this guy out, and he name drops me, like saying he's to these bouncers that he's going to get me to come get them. I don't know this fucker, and I'm standing 3 feet from him, and he's using my name as backup for himself. I don't even know who the fucker is, but he's telling my friends that they need to be careful because I'm going to get them while I'm standing next to him. So that's a bit weird. Yeah. So yeah, the next 5 years was a shitload of drinking. The amphetamines, once again, I'm still working away. I've got a massive speed habit, but it's not affecting anything. If anything, it's helping. It's helping me work. It's helping me do what I need to do. I'm dealing at all hours of the day and everything like that. So it's working. Broke up with her. Still kept playing around and doing shit. Went into a different hotel, a cleaner hotel. No more bikies. And any riffraff that did come in there, I just informed them that I now work here, and they stopped going there. But eventually, I fell in love with a girl.
Mm-hmm.
She was all fine, and we used to drink together and everything like that, until she realised that my drinking didn't look like other people's drinking, so to speak. She didn't know that I used. I managed to keep that dark. She was very naive on drugs. She didn't know I dealt. She didn't know I used. I was just always happy. I was always partying, like everything like that. And if I needed to crash, I took drugs. So I was able to keep that dark. Knocking around with these other guys and every other fucking heavy person in town, because I learned. So okay, everyone is a possible connection, even if you don't know them. And I learned in working in just pubs and hotels and all, someone might be able to help you one day, so you be nice to them then. You don't be nice to them when you need the help. It's like you be nice to them now because they might be able to assist you in one day. So if I was to walk into a pub and say there's 2 blokes I know, they're pretty heavy dudes. I order myself a drink and I go, oh yeah, one for him and one for him. Right? That's cost me at that point $6. $6, and I've just given respect to this person in this hotel. No problem. I'm going to get it back anyway because the next time they buy a drink, they're going to buy me a drink. But those 2 might be drinking with some other guy I don't know, never met him before. But I'm not going to buy them 2 and not this random guy. I'm going to buy that person one too. I'll get one for those, such and such and such and such. And hook their mate up to. That's a $3 investment. Now, that guy might be the biggest fucking drug dealer in the state. I don't know. But for the sake of $3, he's asked his mate, who the fuck's that guy? They've gone, oh, he's all right. He's a good bloke. So all of a sudden, I've got a new friend. Right? So I worked on sort of that aspect. So I treated everyone very respectful, very nice, until I didn't. But, so yeah, using... That's the best way to put it. But yeah, so hang on. So yeah, so this girl broke up with me, heartbroken, all that sort of shit. So straight into that. What do you do with a broken heart? You destroy it with every chemical possible. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and that's what I did. I'd finish work and I'd be putting my boots on, and people would go, oh, where are you going? I said, oh, I'm going to go find a fight, and I'd literally just go to a bar, wait for someone to look at me badly, and then I'd punch the shit out of them. Because I had connections with the bouncers and everything, I couldn't get kicked out of hotels. I couldn't get kicked out of nightclubs. I'd fall asleep in bars and nightclubs, and they'd just let me sleep in there. They wouldn't wake me up. I'd just pass out on like a couch in a nightclub, and they'd just leave me. So using was getting out of control, but I was knocking around more with these motorcycle enthusiasts, and it all came to a head. All right, so something happened at a public event where punches were thrown, egos were dented between 2 rival motorcycle enthusiasts, and after that, some people I knew went and essentially murdered a random bikie from that club, at the club, at their clubhouse. Right? Didn't care who it was. It was just whoever had those colours got shot. So then I'd always managed to, yes, I was affiliated with a certain group, but I'd always managed to not, as I said earlier, I was in as far as I was wanting to be in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was liked, I was respected, and if it came down to it, yes, I was closer to a particular group, but I made sure to sort of still only have as much as my foot in there as I wanted it in there. Because I'm doing my own shit and everything like that, and I don't need to suddenly. I can't even ride a Harley, right? So I'm not going to suddenly start, pretending to be one. But after that, all of a sudden, you had to pretty much decide. Elite, like, sides had to be taken and everything like that. So by default, all of a sudden, now I am with this particular group, which brings me into my friend, who is a big part of my drug story, and I mentioned him earlier. So the one who's dead now. A lot of my friends are dead, let's be honest. Suicide, murder, drug overdose, a whole lot. So this guy was a very, very well-respected person in this group, to the point where he could fucking pretty much do whatever he wanted. He was well-liked. He'd taken the charges for a lot of other people when he didn't have to. He had a lot of respect around town as someone who you could trust. He was also a violent motherfucker. Just a fucking, and as I said before, the word cunt, this guy was a fucking mad cunt. So I ended up knocking around with him, and that's where it all started to go downhill, because with him, I had access to as much drugs as I wanted. I didn't need to pay for them. I could pay for them if I wanted and everything like that. But all of a sudden we're doing this properly. We're getting higher caliber. We're running around with higher caliber, all that sort of shit. So he's the safe house I woke up in and everything like that. So the using one, I got a broken heart. I'm now getting access to as much drugs as I want. This is where it really started to go downhill. I'm drinking from the time I get up in the morning. Like, I used to, before going to sleep, I used to rack up a line. Do you call it rack up when you put a line together? Like a speed? Yeah, we call it rack it up, because rack it like a crack. So I'd rack up a line, and then I'd go to sleep with a bottle of vodka. I'd wake up in the morning, scull some vodka, so my eyes would open up, and then I'd rack it, and then I'd snort that line, and then I'm ready to make the coffee, ready to put the kettle on. So that was sort of my lifestyle and everything like that. But yeah, so running around with him, and just the drugs are getting more and more and more and more. And I swear this bloke wasn't just addicted to drugs. He was addicted to being a crim. So as much as I'd always tried to not stay red hot and try and stay popular, we just started robbing dealers. Like dealers that were, they might be dealing in grams, they might be dealing in ounces, they might be dealing in 8 balls, they might be dealing in pot, they might be dealing in fucking anything. But how we'd rob him wasn't so much kick a door in and rob him. This bloke had so much, people had so much fear of him, he'd credit it. So we call it tick. So you tick up, you credit drugs, you get it on tick. I don't know what.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we say tick up. Yeah. So he'd just walk in and go, I need X amount. And they'd go, yeah, all right. And he'd go, yeah, and I'll pay you next week. He never fucking paid. He had no intention of paying. And it got to the point where these people knew this. He had the reputation that he does not pay, but there's nothing anyone could do about it. So we'd go in and he'd go, I need an ounce. And I go, yeah. Remember, you still owe us for that other ounce you got. You go, yeah, I'll pay you. I'll pay you later. I need this one on credit. And you could see these blokes handing over drugs, knowing that they're not getting paid ever. And there's nothing they can do about it. Because it's like they either give it to him then, like give it to, Mammy Boy then, or he's just going to rob it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you don't hand it over and with him saying, I will pay you, and you go, no, well, I'm not giving it to you, then the dude's possibly going to stab you. Right, in your own kitchen. You didn't give a shit.
How did he die?
He gassed himself in a car.
Oh, on purpose?
Killed himself. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
And I think at one point, I drifted away when I got clean, and he died not long after. I was very in early recovery when he died. He couldn't find a way out of that lifestyle. He went to rehab and everything like that, and then he'd come out and he'd try, and he'd go to a meeting even, and everyone would bring him back, like, because he was somebody. Yeah. He was a somebody. They treated him as such, and I think he was mostly addicted to that. But as far as robbing people, like, we're in a nightclub once, and we're actually there to have a good time. We're drinking, we've got a bit of speed in the guts, we're having a good time. Girls are over here, we're laughing, smiling. And I remember saying to us, you want to get a couple of pills? A bit of ecstasy? Why not? Have a bit of, because ecstasy, as much as I sold a lot of ecstasy on and off, ecstasy was for fun.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're having a good night. Let's make this night a little better. If you want to get fucked up, use speed. If you want to do, all that sort of shit. But ecstasy's to smile, laugh. And you can't work on ecstasy. And I remember going, do you want to do some ecstasy? And he's going, yeah. Yeah, so we're looking around, who's got the pills? Because we're not going to go fucking outside and find them. It's like, who in this club? So he looks around and he goes, hey, I'll back a second. He looks around and he finds out who's got the pills. And we're like quite willing to pay. Right? We've got money. It's like, let's just get a couple of pills, have a good night. He's got the cash and he's found the bloke and they go into the toilets to do the deal. He tells me, he looked around and he's just gone, there's no cameras in here. So he just robs the fucker. Like, he comes out and he comes over to me and I'm at the bar and I said, how'd you go? Like, we all good? He goes, yeah. We should probably get out though. And what do you mean? He goes, I just robbed him. I was like, dude, like, and then the thing, like, I remember I was at one of his places one day and he's opened his top drawer and just notes of money just up piling. Like, he's just got it stuffed in a drawer. Like, he didn't need cash. He's covered in fucking gold and everything like that. And he's robbed a bloke for like $50 worth of pills.
Yeah.
Like, just like, nah, no one's going to catch me. There's no cameras here. I may as well just rob him. I had to sort out one thing with him where he's walking down the street, like just out in town one night, and two blokes walking towards him, and he's gone, have you got pills? And they've gone, yeah. And he goes, oh, well, come on, I'll buy some. And they go around an alley, and just the second they're in a dark place, he pulls out the knife and goes, give you fucking pills and money. And just mugged them on the spot, like middle of like Friday, Saturday night. But I had to sort this out because they run down and they're telling their friends in the line of a nightclub, we just got robbed. And the bouncer on the door turns around and goes, what the fuck happened? And they go, we were just robbed. They didn't say we're robbed for drugs. They said we're robbed for money. So the bouncer calls in for the cops. So the cops show up and fucking starts taking these statements off these fucking sketchy fucking drug users anyway. But they're, oh, no, he robbed us for this much money. So I get the phone call later on off this dude, like, oh, man, they picked me up for armed robbery. Because our bail system works different. We don't have cash bail. You just get bail, right? So if you get locked up, you get bailed. You either get bail or you don't. But there's no money exchanges hands. There's no surety. And unless it's a big charge, like as in, conspiracy to murder and everything like that, which you're probably not getting bail, then you got to put up a house and everything like that. But we don't have like $500 bail and everything. So he's done this and everything like that. But it turns out the bouncer that called the cops that has had to make a statement because he's doing his job. Like, he's a legitimate person. But he's not legitimate. He's my friend. But so I find out he's the one who has made a statement, not informing or anything, just doing his job. So I've had to go to my friend and gone, do you realise who did that robbery? And he's gone, no. And I said, well, and I told him the person who's been charged. And I've watched this, quite tough bouncer go white, that he's gone, like, he's put a very serious person into prison. So I had to sit in his car out the front of my other hotel while he changed his statement and I read over it to make sure he said certain things and took out certain things and everything like that. It's like, now you take that to the police. That's your new statement. Your other statement doesn't exist. But, so running around with him. So, I just got more unwell and I wanted the girl back at the end of the day. So I went into rehab, in and out. We call the last year of my recovery the year of living dangerously, because I'd go to rehab, I'd go to meetings, I'd relapse, I'd get arrested, I'd get put in a psych hospital, I'd get out, I'd go to rehab, I'd go to meetings, I'd use, and it just the last year of my using was also the first year of my recovery. So it was like I'd get 30 days, I'd get 60 days, I'd get 90, and it was just, and then it'd all go to shit, and I'd be back in the game. And in the end, I went, one, because I was in love, but it just got to the point I was unwell, I was tired, I was going to go to jail, it was just not looking good at all. Like, nothing, there was no prospects. I'll do one quick speed story about at this point. I had ants in my apartment, right? Couldn't get rid of them, no matter what. And I tried like bombs and sprays and everything. I ended up so fucked up one night that I sat there with a toothpick and individually killed every fucking ant, right? And I I was there for hours, and the whole time I'm doing it, it's like, you little bastards, yeah, you pay attention to what the fuck's going on, you little fucks. You send that back you send a message, motherfuckers. And I'm literally like, I'm standing over ants. Like I'm doing standover tactics on a group of ants for hours. Like, you fucking pass that message. Like, that's how like mental I fucking was.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually, yeah, by that last time in rehab, and I've done 6-7 rehabs and everything like that, was the end. Like,
yeah.
I've heard it said at meetings, and I agree that I've got another binge and another usage in me, but I don't think I've got that other recovery in me.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do that again. So once I got out, there was a bit of soul searching, and that's when I went into proper recovery, and I had to ditch everyone. I remember, because my friend was still alive at this point, before going into rehab that last time, I had to sit down with him and go, I'm out. I've got to get out. I'm done. I can't do this. And he's looking at me at, 60 kilos, and I haven't slept in God knows how long, and I've got a bottle of vodka in my hand. Like, he's knowing that shit's going rough. And he said, you're going to have to talk to some other people before you can do that. Which kind of sucked, because I thought, and these were some rather heavy individuals and everything like that. And it wasn't because I was a part of them or anything like that. I just knew a lot of shit, and they just wanted to make sure that my sudden recovery was not based on I've found the Lord and I'm going to suddenly start spilling all secrets and everything like that. Yeah. So I had to have a sit down. I was kind of given a blessing to go, actually, you look like shit, and you're probably not going to be much help for us for very much longer. And you're running around with this fucking psychopath. So, so eventually got out. The girl I was in love with, she's now my wife.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah, I married her. Stupid girl. She talks about, like, when she was trying to get me sober before, I really jumped on. Like, she'd try and limit my drinking. So I remember going out to a restaurant, and she loves telling the story, that we ordered a bottle of wine, and she thought, if I drink faster, he won't get as much, and he'll stay sober. But all I saw was, fuck, the girl's on the drink tonight. Let's get another bottle. Let's do this. I've got a partner. The other one they tried was her and my dad took hold of my cash, my money and everything like that, which is what people do. They go, well, if we can control the money. So they give me enough to catch a bus to a meeting and back. Right? That's how much money I was given on a daily basis, was like $3.40. So I could get the bus from where I was to the lunchtime AA meeting, and then I could get the bus back. So what I'd do is take that to the TAB, which is what we call the horse racing. So in our pubs, we also have horse races. So not actually in the pub, but you can bet on horses. I don't know if your gambling works like that. My family have owned racehorses their whole life. Like, I've grown up. I put my first trifecta bet on when I was 7 years old. Like, I know, well, at this point, I knew horse racing. So with my $3, I'd find the sure favourite that might be only paying like $1.80, but I'd put it on that, and then I'd turn my $3 into a couple more dollars, and then I'd play with that, and I'd get to the point that I had enough for a 6-pack of beer, and then I'd go buy a 6-pack and scull it in a public toilet for 15 minutes and get right roaring drunk. But then by the time my missus finished work, I'd be sober. So that was they're trying to control me, and if I lost on the bets, I didn't drink. But I managed to still hide my drinking and just get fucked up. So either way, I ended up marrying her, but I decided that I wanted to work in rehabs. So I went to school for a bit. I was told I couldn't do it because I have been picked up on a couple of charges. As far as lockups go, I've only done time on remand, and I don't count nightly and weekend lockups, because they're different. They're just, you get picked up and you go spend a couple of nights in a cell and then you get let out. Yeah. I don't count them as jail.
Have you ever smoked PCP?
I knew you'd ask that one too.
Yeah, man.
No. Only once again, it's the same as a lot of drugs. We didn't get it.
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point it made its way over, but it definitely wasn't big enough. Like, I remember hearing people back in the day talk about fucking, I smoked fucking angel dust and all that. It's like, no, you fucking didn't. You watched fucking South Central movie. And you heard what it was, and now you're going to tell people. You fucking you smoked a joint that I sold to you.
Pardon? You ever seen a ghost?
I don't believe in that shit, but only because
it's a nice combination of questions. Ever smoke PCP? Ever
but
seen
I know I know you want a ghost story, so I can tell you one. But in saying that, I don't believe in that shit. Only because my whole study is based on research and scientific research and academic research and everything like that. And
but what happened?
Okay, so one of the hotels I worked in, I ended up living upstairs. In the manager's quarters and everything like that. So I ran the pub, lived upstairs. I actually got barred from the hotel. I wasn't allowed to drink in the hotel I ran.
You lived upstairs from a bar, like in a little apartment or something?
Yeah.
Dude, that would be the end of my story. Like that would
be. There was a fucking end of my drinking story. This was right near the end.
You live upstairs from a bar, you go downstairs, you get to serve people drinks. They're all happy. They love you.
Oh, hang on. Try living upstairs. Living upstairs from the bar and having all the keys. That was me.
Yeah,
it was my fucking bar.
Yeah, no. That gets bad and ugly and fucking hard.
Yeah,
but all right. So what about the ghost? Hit me.
All right. So seeing all of our pubs are like 100, 150 years old, right? Most of them are said to be haunted. So the bar I lived in and everything like that. A woman was murdered there in I think 1940s. Or something like that. She was murdered upstairs, which isn't uncommon for an old pub.
Yeah.
So, and supposedly haunted the halls and everything like that, right?
Sorry, I gotta go, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, she's right.
No worries, brother.
Oh, good. So she haunted the halls and everything like that. So when I'd be in my room, the closest that I ever went, oh, that's not weird at all, is I'd know I'd be the only person on the whole venue. Like, there was not another person inside at the time. So just me. There were other rooms upstairs. And outside my door, I'd hear the creaking footsteps down my hall. So I'd open the door, and obviously no one was there. But that's not cool. Like, I'm trying to, relax here and do copious amounts of speed and vodka. Like, why are you fucking playing with my head, you bastard? But didn't believe at the time. The only other time was because my mum was manager's quarters. A lot of the time, I just used it as my whole place I lived as storage for the pub. Like certain things, I just go, chuck it in my room and sort it out later. So above my wardrobe was like coat hangers and things like that. There's like hundreds of them. They were just a convenient place to put them. And I was sitting there on my bed, just kicking back, watching TV, and all of a sudden, like, all the coat hangers just fell off the wardrobe. And there would have been hundreds of them, so that doesn't accidentally fall off, but that's about it. As far as ghost stories,
that's dope.
That's pretty spooky.
Oh man! Yeah. Well, what a fucking pleasure, man! I thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show.
I've wanted to be on the show
for stuff, dude. And
hopefully you'll learn something.
I feel like I could tip a couple with you at another time and just or not with you, but in front of you. And
that's not mean at all.
And listen to this true crime stuff. Like we can talk about this shit for fucking hours because I'm obsessed.
All right, so if you quickly write this down then. So Catherine Knight, you've got written down.
Yeah, I already got that. Yep.
Yeah, Catherine Knight, Ivan Milat, Carl Williams.
Yep.
And
I wrote that down.
The Painters and Dockers Union.
Oh, okay.
They ran crime in Australia for about 30 years.
That sounds interesting.
A literal organised union, like a trade union.
Right. That's amazing. Painters Union.
Wait,
Painters and Dockers.
What?
Painters and Dockers
Painters
Union.
and Dockers.
They controlled the docks. They controlled the docks.
Right.
Australia's an island. You're
really into docking.
No, you control the dock in Australia. Okay. You control everything. We're an island. You control what comes in, what goes out. You can control the country. And they did. All right. All right. But look, all good. Great meeting you, Mike.
Godspeed, man.
Thanks, man. Take care. Thanks for reaching out.
All right. Cheers, mate.
Thanks for listening to another episode of It's All Bad. Like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or comment on our YouTube channel. Quick reminder, our young Patreon is up and cracking, and you guys can get bonus episodes for how much is it, Charlie? $4 a month?
$4 a month.
$4 a month. Also, if you don't think that we're worthy of $4 a month, or you think we're worth a lot more than $4 a month, there's a link to our PayPal, and you could drop as much as you want or as little as you want. We won't get mad. We won't put you on blast. We're just grateful that you guys are listening, and we hope you enjoy this as much as we do, because we love being here with you guys on a weekly basis. See y'all next week.
Hit that Patreon, and don't sneeze, don't cough, but break mine off.